So I'm making this video for every real estate agent that is watching the news, reading the headlines, and freaked out because they potentially believe there's going to be a housing market crash. Well, in this episode, I'm going to share with you why the housing market is not going to crash. Now, for those of you that don't believe that, it's fine. Let's debate it. But I'm going to give you the information that I have access to that suggests otherwise. And so my goal and why I'm making this video is to look at the facts. And we first have to define what we're talking about when we're referring to a housing market crash or a housing bubble. We are talking specifically about the prices of homes. We're not talking about home sales, the number of sales, the number of transactions that we know are getting absolutely hammered because mortgage interest rates, because demand is so low, because we are in a gridlock real estate market right now where sellers don't want to sell, buyers don't want to buy. We get it. We understand that. But what we're doing and what I'm doing in this video is I'm making the argument for why prices of homes, why we're not in another housing market bubble. So let's get into it and I'll share with you guys why. Number one, first off, again, what is a housing crash? Let's get really, really clear. Because when we look at the actual housing bubble of '08 during the Great Recession, which, oh, by the way, was caused by the housing market, we see in June '06, the median home sales price was what? $216,000. Fine. Then the market collapsed. Home prices fell over 20%, and they dropped. The average sales price or the median home sales price dropped down to $170,000. That is a housing market crash. When we see the prices of homes drop by 20% or more is when we see a housing market crash. Well, where are we at right now? As of June 2022, we saw that was the height of the market, highest home prices we've ever seen, historical high as a result of the pandemic. Home prices shot up. And they got up as high to $387,000, which was the average home price in the United States. Well, okay, fine. How far have home prices dropped so far? Where are we at right now? Well, I'm making this video in May, and we'll get the report here soon. But as you could see on screen right now, home prices have not only stopped dropping, they actually started to come back up yet again. You could see on screen the reports from Case-Shiller, FHFA, and CoreLogic. And you can see what's happened since January 2022, where home values were increasing 1.6%, 1.9%, 2%. Then in July, they started to go down. And we saw that in February, they started to come back up again year over year. So we saw the price decline. We saw it happen. It's in our rearview mirrors. Home prices right now are on their way back up. That is what we're seeing. Yes, is there some markets where home prices have declined? For sure. But average over the country, home prices are up year over year. They're not down. So it's hard to say that we are in a housing market crash because home prices, remember, a crash relates to the prices of homes. And right now, home prices are going up. So again, where are we at right now? Well, the vice president of research at Black Knight said just 5 months ago, which is what I showed you guys, prices were declining in 92% of all the major U.S. markets. Fast forward to March, and the situation has done a literal 180, with prices now rising in 92% of markets from February. The chief economist at CoreLogic also said prices in many large metros appear to have turned the corner, with the U.S. recording a second month of consecutive monthly gains. The home prices are going up. I don't see how anyone can debate that. Now, let's talk about the reasons why home prices won't fall. And the first thing we have to look at is lending guidelines. You see, when we were in a housing bubble, right after 2006, during the Great Recession of 07, 08, 09, it was like any Tom, Dick, or Harry could get a mortgage. And I was in the mortgage business at the time. And so when we look at that, here's what we know. It was estimated that about 20% of all mortgages, it's a massive number, by the way, from 05 to 06, went to people that normally wouldn't qualify. And these people found themselves in subprime mortgages that adjusted, they couldn't afford them. And of course, they defaulted on their mortgage. They got a mortgage that they should have never got, and they got them anyways because lending guidelines were so loose at the time. And so that contributed to a mass number of foreclosures hitting the market, raising inventory. You've got a lot of inventory, very, very low demand. Of course, prices are going to plummet. Makes sense. Okay, fine. Reason number 2, housing supply, to exactly what I just said. Let's look at the data. In 07 and 08 specifically, we had over 10 months worth of inventory. The definition of a buyer's market when home prices are declining is anything with a market that has more than 6 months worth of inventory. Well, boys and girls, right now we're sitting at about 2.5 months worth of inventory. We are still in a very, very, very strong seller's market. Most of you real estate agents that watch the show or listen to the show have reported, just like what is happening in my market, that homes are now selling again with multiple offers. There's nothing to choose from. And if a home is decent, there's a line outside. And that is our new reality. So in a world like that, when supply is so tight, home prices do nothing but what? Go up. And so we don't see a lot of new inventory coming online, right? New listings are down yet again. So we don't see inventory picking up just yet. Reason number 3 is equity. Homeowners right now, unlike the last time we were in a real housing bubble and the housing market did actually crash in 2009, 2010, when there was a huge number of the population that owed more on their properties than their homes were worth, it is the exact opposite right now. It would be hard for you to find somebody in that situation where they owed more than their home is worth. It's the exact opposite. We have U.S. homeowners right now, looking at the graph on the screen, have more equity than we have ever had in our properties as a result of home prices going up the way they have over the past couple of years. As a result, the reason why people aren't as willing to walk away from their properties like they were before is they have options. If somebody loses their job, and I know that's the counter argument, unemployment's done nothing. I mean, unemployment right now, you would think would be an issue, but every time a new jobs report comes out, there are more and more and more and more jobs being created, not less. Unemployment is not going up. So with that being said, even if somebody was in trouble, they have options now that they didn't have before. They can refinance, they can sell their house, and they can get out of that situation where they couldn't before, causing a mass flux of new inventory to hit the market. Reason number 4, let's talk about foreclosures. This has been a big one that people seem to really be confused about, especially Main Street media, where they're talking about, foreclosures are up 100%. Well, yeah, we're coming out of a market during the pandemic when we had a foreclosure moratorium. There were no foreclosures. So, of course, foreclosure numbers statistically are up. But if you look at the graph, we are way down. We're down from pre-pandemic, which was like a normal real estate market. And oh, by the way, we are way down on foreclosures based on what we saw during the real housing bubble of 2008, 2009. Now, the next question is, well, where are we headed? Okay, so I just gave you all of the reasons as to why we aren't going to see prices fall. So don't take it from me. Where are we headed? Well, I don't know about you, but we have to look at the economists that are the gold standard for forecasting home prices. One of those is CoreLogic. And they just reported this last month that home prices not only currently are up 4.5% year over year, but if we look ahead to 2024, what are they forecasting? Home prices to go up, ladies and gentlemen, not down, up 3.7% in 2024. Zillow, like them or hate them, they just came out yesterday on May 15th with their new home value forecast, to which they set expectations for easing mortgage rates, tighter inventory, have driven Zillow's home value forecast what? Higher. Zillow forecasts that home values will grow 3.9% in 2023. Then there was over 100 economists for all the major firms across the board, and this was their prediction. This is what came out of that study. In 2023, at the end of this year, we would be up about 4%. The forecast is that we're up 3.5% in 2024 and that we're up 3.5% in 2025. Seems like normal home appreciation is here to stay. Did you hear what I said? Home appreciation. There is nowhere in anyone's forecast that we're seeing a housing market crash. And we have no evidence to support otherwise. And so all of this nonsense and all these headlines and all this doom and gloom and all this housing market crash BS on YouTube and on the internet, where's the evidence? Because home prices, we're talking about prices. We're not talking about the number of transactions. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about home prices. We see things going up. And oh, by the way, I'll leave you with this. As the recent CPI report came out to finally see inflation coming down, mortgage rates do what? Oh, that's right. They follow inflation. So as core CPI inflation comes down, it's also predicted that mortgage rates will also follow suit and come down over the summer of 2023 and continue to go down in 2024, which will unlock this demand, which will put this real estate market back into motion. So there are good times ahead. And what am I saying? What I'm saying for the real estate professionals in the business is that I think that the rocky road is behind us, that the toughest times are behind us, that looking ahead, I think things unlock a little bit, pending any more craziness in the world, which who knows, that could always happen. But pending any craziness that could happen in the world, things in the housing market look to be positive, and that the worst is or the worst is in our rearview mirror. So I hope that puts your mind at ease. I'd love to debate this. If you see it differently, please use the comments. Let's open up a healthy debate and be happy to go back and forth on that.